What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Fantasy Football. My name is Blitz Link, and I'm here with Bryce DeGroat. We are talking players that we are much lower on than consensus using our website, blitzsportsmedia.com. If you guys want a free draft guide, we got that for you in the description. Help you win your league and get set up for a ton of success this year. And if you want to compete against us, make sure you fill out the form to apply for the Blitz Fans League as well. We'll be knocking that out. And then, Bryce, let's get this pulled up right here. Our website, we're within the draft guide. We got our fantasy football rankings from this year. Give me the first player that we are lower on than consensus.
Man, I'm scrolling down a little bit. I would say the first guy that comes to mind is Jeremiyah Love. Is there anyone before that you want to hit on?
I would say Jeremiyah Love's a good starting point. Yeah, we can go
Yeah,
Jeremiyah Love.
Jeremiyah Love isn't even that much lower on consensus than we are. I mean, he's like a late second rounder, early third rounder. We have him more as like a mid third rounder, and I would even have him a little bit lower than that. And he's probably going to continue to drop down these rankings the closer we get to the season. But the reality is, overpriced rookie season. Ashton Jeanty was overpriced. Bijan Robinson was overpriced. These guys just get overpriced the rookie season, and he's going to have a great career. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great prospect, going to have a phenomenal career. But just his rookie season, it's not ideal at all. They're going to use 3 RBs. The Cardinals are going to be down and have to throw the ball a lot. He's got the second hardest RB schedule, and I've heard the take that people say, oh, but it's going to get to the point where he's going to get a workload and he's going to be so good you can't take him off the field. I don't see that being the case simply because the Cardinals are going to be so bad where you can't run a prospect that you gave 53 million guaranteed dollars to into the ground this year. So I just think his workload is going to be limited and the whole situation's kind of a mess. I'm saying far away from him in the second round, maybe even the third as well.
Yeah, I'm fading Jeremiyah Love. It's a tough situation for him to succeed. It's a tough schedule. You're already splitting time with Tyler Algier. Like, the Cardinals are not going to be in contention this season, so why would they run their top prospect into the ground? Like, it just doesn't make much sense to me for him to have a clear path to a top 5 finish. And he's already being drafted as like a low end RB1, so you're basically paying for him at his ceiling, which just is not what you do in fantasy football. You chase upside. You don't chase a player that doesn't have a ceiling, and that's kind of what it feels like you're doing with Jeremiyah Love sometimes. You're chasing your tail and you're not capitalizing on that. I will talk about this next range here of players. I don't know if you want to go anybody before this, but I'll talk about Breece Hall real quick. Player that I think a lot of people are high on because he's a very good football player. He actually has only topped 1,000 yards once in his career, which was last season. But the biggest concern for me is that his receiving workload has decreased every year. I mean, you look at last year, only 36 receptions. We're going to filter this by receptions for you guys. He only averaged 1.9 over his last 10 games for the Jets last year. This offense has been pretty bad the last couple seasons. While I do think they added some talent on this unit, it's the quarterback that still concerns me. Like, Geno was really, really bad for those Raiders last year and put them in a lot of poor situations. As good as Breece Hall may be, I don't think the reception volume is getting any better. I think the rushing upside is capped on a bad offense, and the touchdown upside, like, the guy's never scored over 6 touchdowns in his entire career. So he needs that volume and that receiving game for him to have that top 12 upside, which I think he's probably limited in. I think we see another season where Breece Hall ranks between RB 13 to RB 22 in that range because he has a consistent floor. But similar to Jeremiyah Love, there isn't really a ceiling attached to Breece Hall this year because of the situation he's in.
Yeah, I love that. I'm kind of out on all Jets as a whole this year. Like Jets, Garrett Wilson. I mean, even Garrett Wilson slightly below ADP. All those guys just make me feel really uncomfortable. But the next guy, we're going down a little bit longer. I know we both can agree here if there's anyone else you want to hit in between, but Bucky Irving going as the RB23. His ADP is around that RB 18 to 20 range, so definitely below his RB ranks. I mean, this is outside the top 6 rounds or top 5 rounds in the 6th round, which is definitely later than his ADP, but we're out on him. I mean, this guy was crazy inefficient last year. 43rd ranked PFF grade, 3.4 yards per carry, had 1 rushing touchdown in 8 games. Sean Tucker stole the goal line work. Now they added Kenneth Gainwell this offseason. Got a really tough schedule as a whole, and I don't really believe in this Bucks offense that much. Like, yeah, I like Ibuka, but I still think this Bucks offense could be pretty underwhelming, where he's not going to be able to get the volume and get the success that people think he is. So I'm out on Bucky. So is the rankings. So I think that was the next guy. for
Yeah,
sure.
Bucky's like, it's tough because at his ADP, like it kind of fluctuates depending on the app you're on. Like Sleeper has him as a third round pick, like ESPN I think has him as a fifth round pick. But it all depends on your league mates. Bucky Irving has that. He's like one of those guys with name value that'll just go earlier than you expect because people like Bucky Irving. With him, like there's real concerns that his rushing efficiency bounces back this year. You look at this, like 3.4 yards per carry, one touchdown as well on the ground game. Like Sean Tucker has vultured goal line carries from this guy for 2 straight seasons. You have Kenneth Gainwell, who came in, just was dominant down the stretch for the Steelers in the receiving game. They've already mentioned that it's a 1A, 1B backfield. Like it's not looking great. And we talk about cap ceiling. I keep going back to it. I sound like a broken record right now, but Bucky Irving has a cap ceiling this year based on the situation he's in. And while I think Tampa Bay's offense could be frisky, his situation is not frisky by any means. So I am not targeting him there. The next guy I'll touch on is Tetairoa McMillan. I know you're a little bit higher on him than me, but you look at last year, like his fantasy points per game, and this chart just goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And there's spike weeks in there that are really nice, like that 33-point game against Atlanta. But in this Panthers offense, in his last 10 games, 12.8 points per game, right? He doesn't necessarily have the situation, despite having a massive workload. Everything suggests Tetairoa McMillan's a great player. His quarterback stinks, and this Panthers offense is in a bad spot to succeed this year. Bryce Young was struggling to throw for 200 passing yards last year, guys. How is Tetairoa McMillan going to be a consistent top 16 option at the wide receiver position if his quarterback is struggling to get to 200 yards? He's basically going to have close to 50% of those receiving yards a week for him to, start cashing in on that value. So I don't love the situation. I think Tet's a great player, but I think a full healthy season of Jalen Coker as well is going to disperse that target share, and it's not going to help Tet by any means.
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit lower on Tet than consensus. I would say not as low as you, but definitely the consistency.
Here's the other thing too. Look at this. He plays a good defense in San Francisco. 2 points or 2 receptions. Sorry, the Rams 1 reception. The Saints 2 reception. The Seahawks 1 reception. That's what you get when Bryce Young's your quarterback. Like this offense can completely disappear.
Yeah, no, that's so valid too. But the next guy I wanna touch on, I mean, we're kind of jumping a little bit around, but going down a little bit, Jayden Daniels, QB9, definitely below his ADP. Oh my gosh. I mean, he's going as like QB4, maybe QB5. We got him as the QB9 all the way down here. But the reality with Jayden Daniels is he's injury prone. Their supporting cast, even with Stephon Diggs, is mid. They lost their left tackle. They don't have a run game. You got 2 old heads at wide receiver. I don't think they're bad. I think Terry and Diggs are talented, but it's still old heads. The injury concerns are real, and he's got a really tough schedule. I think this Commanders team isn't good in the first place, which kind of already like knocks me on Jayden Daniels. I think they finished 4th in the division, so like that also my head is like, I think this team's going to stink. I think Jayden Daniels is going to stink. But just the way quarterbacks are this year, especially like we talk about T-Law, Herbert, all these guys, even Dart, Caleb, I'm taking all of those guys with far more confidence in Jayden Daniels. He finished as the QB5 his rookie season. Great year. But look at the game log. It feels like that was his ceiling. And I just can't get around him at ADP. I think this is a great spot for him.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels is overpriced. And I think one thing that I'll mention too is Laramie Tunsil's like out for the season. They're starting left tackle who they're desperately good. Like the offensive line's not great there. So I'm like not very convinced that the offensive line's even going to be good enough for them to have a strong season this year in fantasy. I'll talk about Courtland Sutton real quick, a player that we have at wide receiver 42. I know a lot of people have him in those early 30 ranges. He's coming off a strong, like you look at his points last year, right? He has a lot of spike weeks mixed in there, but he also has a lot of duds. And that's kind of what comes with this Broncos offense and Bo Nix inconsistencies. Now they added more target competition with Jalen Waddle, and Courtland Sutton was that main target getter, but only finished with 74 receptions. You look at the amount of empty volume here between 74 receptions and 124 targets. He did have 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, but like this was a great season for Courtland Sutton, a strong volume season. He only averaged 12.9 points per game. Now you add in Jalen Waddle, who's going to come in and steal the top targets in this Denver Broncos offense. I don't think he's sitting there in a situation where he's this safe flex as people want to portray him as. I think he's a risky player that, is going to be more like a volatile, like a Jameson Williams almost, where he could have 3 points one week, 22 the next week, and he's going to have that consistent cycle because in this Broncos offense, I don't think they're consistent enough to support two pass catchers within those top 24 receivers.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty much out on Courtland Sutton by the day. But there's one more guy I want to hit on, and he's up at 82, Harold Fannin Jr. Tight end 8, he's going as like the tight end 5, tight end 6, so definitely below his ADP as well. And thing is, Harold Fannin Jr. had a solid rookie season. There's nothing taking that away, but also, you pull up the game log, is that it right there? The inconsistency problems really concern me. Like, guy was literally so up and down like a seesaw, I couldn't take it. And now this year, you look at it, and the quarterback situation's a mess. Whether it's Shador, whether it's Watson, it's a mess. The O-line might be better this year, but new group in all 5 people. And then they go out and draft 2 wide receivers, one in the first round in KC, and then in the second round in Denzel Boston. So I just look at this Browns team, and I'm like, a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of question marks, inconsistent problem. Keep me far, far, far away from Harold Fannin Jr.
Yeah, I'm not like fully out. I'm kind of like Tet with this one on your end. Like I'm not fully out on Harold Fannin Jr. I think Todd Monken and his utilization of tight ends throughout his coaching career makes me a little bit excited, but like the splits between the different quarterbacks as well. And with, Harold Fannin basically having his prime weeks with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback makes me a little bit hesitant because Shedeur can't really push the ball to the outside. So I'm interested to see, like, if Deshaun Watson is the quarterback, what do we get from Harold Fannin Jr.? If Shedeur is the quarterback, I think he does have top 3 upside at the position because he's going to be dink and dunk the entire season. So I think Harold Fannin Jr. is definitely a player that comes with a lot of risk and reward, especially when the tight end position is very deep like that. So those are all the players that we are fading at consensus and have a little bit lower than those average draft positions. So drop a comment down below. Which of these guys are you fading, or any other players that we missed on this list? Hit that like button, subscribe button for daily fantasy football content. And me and Bryce will catch you guys next time.